There are two typical errors that Vietnamese people make with final consonant sounds when speaking English. One of the errors is a big problem, and the other one is an even bigger problem. First, probably the most serious mistake that Vietnamese people make when speaking English, and which confuses foreigners the most, is not pronouncing the final consonant sound or sounds in words. So people will say how instead of house, bay instead of base, lie instead of like, and so on. This is not so much of a problem with longer words with 3 or more syllables, where the listener can guess the ending of the word based on how it begins. However, English has a lot of short, single-syllable words that begin with a consonant, continue in a vowel, and finish in another consonant. So if you do not pronounce the final consonant in such short words, then you are basically withholding 33% of the information you are supposed to give. And you will make it very difficult for foreigners to understand you. In other words, as you could see in the introduction, there are 10 single-syllable short words in English that begin with fei. So if you want to say fate, but you only say fei, then your foreigner listening partner will have to consider and choose from 10 words to guess what you wanted to say. And this makes the conversation very slow and tiresome. The second is that there's another and lesser-known problem with final consonants, which is when Vietnamese people say a s sound instead of a t or a k sound at the end of words. So they will say yes instead of yet, rice instead of right, and complice instead of complete, and guess instead of get. There is a variation of this error when people say a z sound instead of a d and a g at the end of words. So they will say guz instead of good, knees instead of need, and says instead of said. Saying a s or a z sound instead of a t or a d sound at the end of words confuses foreigners a lot, because in regular verbs, the final t and d sound signify the past tense, while the s and z sounds would indicate the present tense. So many times, we cannot decide if our Vietnamese speaking partner is talking about the past or the present. This error of pronouncing an unnecessary s or a z sound at the end of words is quite ironic, because foreigners usually complain about Vietnamese not pronouncing the final consonants, but the t and k sounds at the end of words in English are actually not pronounced very clearly, most of the time. So to summarize the two errors with final consonants, Vietnamese people do not pronounce final sounds when they should pronounce them, and they do pronounce final consonant sounds when they really should not. The best examples of this are the expressions it is and that is, which most Vietnamese people pronounce as isi instead of it is, and that's instead of that is. In this video, we will learn how to say final consonant sounds accurately. We will learn how to say the t, the d, the k, and the g sounds at the end of words. We will practice words and sentences to highlight the importance of final consonants, and we will test your newly acquired skills. This video is a little different from the other lessons, because its main goal is to teach you the importance of pronouncing final consonants in English, but it does not include specific instructions on how to say these final consonants. If you need help with learning or practicing any particular consonant sound, such as the th, the r, the sh, or any other consonant, then please take a look in our video library. I'm sure we have the training video that you need. So, let's correct these mistakes and start speaking accurate English. Are you with me? Let's go!